Hello, my name is Irma Wilson. I am your life coach. I help people leap into their life purpose fully. Welcome to the Unsung Sheroes Show. This is a show where we have a lineup of phenomenal women in our community that's going to bring us advice, love, motivation, to help us all grow and see how they do things, because they are changing the community, they are changing people's lives. Today's show, we have our wonderful Pastor Jennifer Joseph. She is an author, her redemption, a professional businesswoman, a daughter, a wife, a mother, a sister, and a friend. And I can go on and on and on. She's very graceful and very soft-spoken, yet there's a powerhouse behind her. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome our wonderful Pastor Jen.
Thank you.
So welcome to the Unsung Sheroes Show.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am excited. We're going to go right into it. Last week, I had the pleasure of witnessing your installment at your church as senior pastor.
Yes.
It was such a beautiful service.
Thank you.
I really, really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
And I know you're going to be phenomenal. You're already phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
So congratulations. This is a big accomplishment.
Thank you.
The community needs you. In Exodus 20, verse 12, God commands us to honor our parents. So our days can be long. I believe that was the first commandment that added years to our lives. I am so glad to say you just added a whole bunch of years to your life.
I received it. Thank you.
Because a few months ago, you've been busy planning your parents' retirement, your father's birthday. Again, that was a marvelous event.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so beautiful. I really, really enjoy it. And for me to be invited to all of them, I felt like I'm special.
Oh, you are.
Even with getting this first interview with you, I hope that's your first interview after your install.
This is the first since the installation.
Awesome, awesome. I felt like I'm the insider. I have some special connection
Right.
to get this interview today. So I really, really appreciate your time, because I do know you are busy. Besides your parents, I see that you have a mentor. Why is it important for anyone to take advantage of mentorship? And what should we look for in a mentor?
Sure, absolutely. So I think it takes a village in order to achieve anything great, because there are areas of expertise that each individual can present to a situation that is very unique and specific. And so I think in every season of our lives, there are an array of things that we are trying to accomplish. And it's important to align ourselves with people who have been where we desire to go. And so my parents have been incredible mentors and just wonderful parents too.
Yes.
But, you know, they're my parents and they love me unconditionally. And so while my parents are brutally honest with me, I can't always assure that they won't give me the raw truth, because they love me so much. And so that different perspective has been very helpful to help me see and acknowledge the things that my parents might not be able to see. I wanted to align myself with a woman who was also a pastor, who was married, who has children, because that is my present situation, who could essentially show me the way. And I was divinely connected to her. And I say that because I have been waiting for a mentor for years, it felt like. And all of the individuals that I tried to tap into, it just didn't work out. And I think it just wasn't the right time. And I found this woman on Instagram. She was going viral for a quote And the quote, and by the way, I'm talking about the Bishop Rosie O'Neill, who is phenomenal. She's the senior pastor of Koinonia Fellowship. But the quote that she was going viral for was, procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God will give you tomorrow what he asked you to do today.
Ooh.
Yeah. And when I saw it, I was like, who is that? So I went to her page and I just found out all this stuff about, she is a successful pastor, married, again, she's a woman. And I said, Lord, it'd be awesome if somebody like that could mentor me. Mind you, she's mentored by T.D. Jakes and by Bishop Apostle Hilliard. So these are like big names.
Right.
People. So, I'm just putting it out in the atmosphere, but I'm like, that's never going to happen. But I'm a type of person that tries to put my faith into action. And I'm like, look, it won't hurt if I just try. So I called her church office one day. This was during the height of the pandemic.
Can you tell how bold she is? She is so bold.
Yes. It was during the height of the pandemic. And this is why I truly believe that, when you take a step in faith, God opens doors miraculously.
I agree.
Because of the pandemic, her husband, who wouldn't otherwise have been working, was in the office because the staff were at home. He answered the phone when I called. And I just did my whole spiel, all nervous, look, I'm very young. I want a mentor. I didn't know that was her husband, by the way. I just thought this was the church office assistant. And he was like, Bishop Rosie's my wife. This is what I want you to do. Email this person. If they don't email you back, call me. He gave me his phone number.
Wow.
So the rest is history.
Wow.
I have been meeting with her every week for almost a year.
Wow.
I had this woman's phone number. And this was just something that I uttered into the atmosphere, and then I acted on it. And
there it is. It show up. And
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's been a year.
It's been a year since we've been working with each other.
There's two things here. You said it's divine connection.
Yeah.
I think it's timing also.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I also think it's because you're so open to learn. To have, because mentor, and the fit, it has to fit.
Yes.
You reach out to different people before, it has to fit. I'm getting ideas for Unsung Sheroes because I'm hoping we can come up with with a mentorship thing going on for young people in the community, and that's a beautiful, beautiful connection to help those that are coming.
Absolutely.
And throughout the Unsung Sheroes, we do ask these questions to help people. It's guided question to help people think about what we are doing and what we stand for here. Having said all that, as leaders, I know that conflict is inevitable. We can go to a meeting and there's always a potential for conflict. You can walk in and says, we're gonna have a good idea, this is a good idea, and then people just against it for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Knowing that you grew up as a child among your elders in your church, and now you're their senior pastor, are you ready for this? Because again, Haitian men, Haitian parents, they tend to be very strong.
Yeah.
Do you feel ready to tackle this battle?
Yes, I do feel ready.
Awesome. I know you are.
I do feel ready to tackle this battle, and I think that it's largely in part due to the example that my father, Bishop Michel Josias, has set. My father has always been welcoming of women in ministry, starting with my mother.
Awesome.
And then with myself. And my father is a very alpha male, very strong. So, for him to show the way has been incredibly impactful, not only in our church, but in the community. And so I think it's his example that has empowered me to step into this role, and has also influenced the men in our church to also not look at me based on my gender, but on the calling that God has placed over my life. And that has been amazing because, you know, I have an assistant pastor, a multicultural pastor. He's old enough to be my father, also an alpha male. And he respects me. He said, "You're my pastor," because they see the God in me. And that was so important to me because I never wanted to feel like, you know, this was something that was being handed to me. And we can talk about this. So I even explored other churches, other options, because I don't want people to say, you know, it's because this is my dad. And I wanted what God has placed in me to speak for itself. And so I will always respect my father for giving me space to operate in my gifts.
What a blessing.
Yeah.
What a blessing. It's a blessing for you. It's a blessing for him. It's a win-win for just about
Absolutely.
everybody.
Absolutely.
Oh, that is so nice. I watch him in the pride. My father passed, and I know the connection between a Haitian father and their daughter.
It's so beautiful.
Ah,
Yeah.
I like that you incorporate different programs and team building events to keep your church members engaged. You've had me come and do a retreat.
Yeah.
You just put so much into them. You have different programs that has series and team building programs. Not everybody's doing that.
Sure.
I remember the last time you had me with the retreat, there was one lady, because we had the massage chair there, and the lady says, "Oh my God, this is the first time somebody gave me a massage." I said, "You know what, our work, it may not seem like a big thing. It's a big thing."
Absolutely.
Why is that important to you, though, to include these things in your ministry?
I believe that it's so important for the church to not only build people spiritually, but to build them socially, intellectually, economically. And I'm not saying that as a pastor, it's my responsibility to be people's therapist or their life coach.
Right.
But I think Jesus, as the blueprint for all of us, really showed us that before you can deal with people's spiritual needs, you have to deal with their social needs first. And there are so many barriers standing in the way of people's deliverance. Like before, you know, he starts healing people or he starts preaching to them, he feeds them, he heals them, he sets them free from the social weight that they have been carrying. Like the many women throughout the scriptures that Jesus liberated. I mean, if you just start with the woman with the issue of blood, she had been in isolation due to the social construct that existed during her time. It was against the cultural norm for a woman with her issue to be out in the full. And so,
do you see why she's my unsung sheroes? This is why she's my unsung shero.
Thank you. But no, it was a social norm for women to be isolated, women with that issue. And so what we don't realize, we focus so much on the healing, and that's so important. But we don't really focus on the fact that there's so many issues that developed within that woman as a result of being in isolation, like depression, low self-esteem, feeling unworthy, right? And so many people walk into our churches carrying these issues, depression, mental illness, you know, just so much. And we're preaching to them, but not necessarily dealing, right, with those issues. And it doesn't necessarily have to be something that comes from me, but referring them. And that's why I will bring in a life coach like yourself. I'll bring in a financial expert to talk to our parishioners, because I understand that there's a holistic approach that we have to have in terms of liberating people to living the best lives.
Before they can even make that connection with God.
Absolutely.
Wow, I never thought of it that way. History is being made in our country with first gentlemen now.
Yeah. I don't know. My husband hates that term. He's like,
so let's drop some tea. Let's drop some tea. But he is a first gentleman, right?
He is.
Okay. So how does he cope with you being In your professional life, you were what is your title? Deputy?
I'm a deputy director at Highest, Pennsylvania.
And then senior pastor at Zion Church.
Yes.
It's a lot of leadership on your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
How is he dealing with this?
I think the first thing I would say is he's not coping or dealing.
Okay.
He's existing.
He's existing.
And
in the mix.
In the mix.
Okay.
He is who he was before he met me, and he is who he is now. I think it's such a dangerous thing when we feel that our own individual identities are contingent upon what other people are doing. I think when you are confident in yourself and in who you are happy for anybody that you're connected to. And what a lot of people don't know is my husband is my coach.
Huh.
Yes.
I can see that though. I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband is my coach. In fact, when we met 7 years ago, we met at work. I met at his job, and it's so funny to see the growth. I met him, I had got hired at his job as an admin assistant, like a temp. Okay. And we can get into that story, but it's in the book. Shameless plug, get the book. And anyway, so when I met him, I was like, I was in a dark place. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
I was engaged to someone that didn't work out, and I just wanted to get away from Philadelphia. So I actually started looking for work in New Jersey, New York. I just wanted to get away. And God was like, no, ma'am. And so when I met my husband, who happened to be Haitian, I was telling him about how, I'm done with the Philadelphia Haitian community. My dad's a pastor. He was like, oh, no, you got to go back. He was like, no. And he was pushing me. He would empower me. Everything that I've been able to accomplish, I've done it. But it has been a result of my husband's push and encouragement and his coaching. Every time I think something is too big for me or I can't do it, he's like, yes, you can. This is nothing. You know?
Wow.
And so I'm so grateful to God for placing him in my life.
That's nice. I can tell that he is okay in his own.
Yeah, he's so confident in his own skin. He's so free, and he really doesn't care what anybody thinks. It's just like,
I saw this cute video where he was dancing.
So he didn't even know that I posted that video.
Oh, that was so cute. I said, look at them having fun.
Yeah. We have a blast together. I think my husband's hilarious. A lot of people don't.
Very nice. Yeah. Is it difficult for you to take your leadership hat and allow your husband to be the leader at home as God ordered?
No.
He's the head of your household.
He is the head of our household. It's easy to submit to someone who loves you. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just natural.
It is.
It doesn't feel like submission. It just feels like partnership.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I want you to marry somebody and I want to be there. If you have a wedding, please invite me to the ceremony.
If I ever officiate a wedding, I haven't yet. I look forward to doing that one day.
Wonderful. You would be so great at that. There was a post on social media that we connect on social media a lot. I would be driving and the things that you put out there really stopped me in my track to review them. There was a quote, no, you were saying that you went somewhere and someone said, I don't know if it's to you directly or in a speech, almost like there's no Haitian leadership in the diaspora, just like Haiti. Yeah. I know you said it saddened you, but it saddened me as well, because I know there's some great leaders in our community. There's some great leaders in Haiti. Yeah. But the outcome, for some reason, people are not seeing it.
Absolutely.
So what can we do about that to change that perspective?
Yes. So I'll give you like a brief story about that day, right?
And how
that came about. I was joining a call with attorneys to discuss ways that we might be able to support the Haitian migrants, right, that
Mm-hmm.
have been coming to Philadelphia.
Okay.
And they didn't know I was Haitian.
Mm.
They just knew I was the deputy director of Hines, Pennsylvania. And so, they started to, how people always say, I wish I could be a fly on the wall in some people's home to hear how they genuinely feel.
In their office.
I was a fly on the wall in that meeting. And while these people came together with the intent to help us, they had clear opinions and judgment about us as a people, and how divisive we are and things of that sort. And so there were a lot of offensive comments made, and it just broke my heart. But here's the thing. After it offended me, it woke me up. Because it made me realize that as offensive as it was, there's a small bit of truth in that. And it's not truth to make me feel defeated, but truth to make me realize there's something that needs to be addressed here. There's an opportunity here.
My Unsung Sheroes said, her leadership is prompting her, if I'm hearing you correctly, to do something about the problem.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why you're an Unsung Shero.
Thank you.
That's one of the reasons.
Yeah, I think it's so important for us to be the change that we desire to see, and really do an internal assessment and say, God, what am I doing to contribute to this divisiveness? And how can I be the change? And so, I posted it because it hurt me, but I also posted it because it was a wake-up call for me. And I had to just think about how many times did I not support someone because I don't like everything that they do. How often have I decided not to endorse something because there's a certain person who's involved in it that I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to show people that it can be done, that we can work together and not have to agree on everything. We can support and respect each other, but not like each other. It's possible. And instead of complaining, let's do
something about it.
Yeah.
I will drink some tea to that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Talking about leadership in the community, I know at one point you were trying to gather all these little churches in the community together.
Yeah.
What happened to that project? What happened and why didn't it come to life?
So the project that you're referring to is when I was attempting to get Haitian churches to merge to become one larger, stronger church, as opposed to us doing our own little thing.
Our flag in Haiti has that emblem that says L'Union fait la force.
Yes.
Strength in unity.
Yes.
So I thought it was a brilliant idea.
Absolutely.
Because and the churches are not doing well on their own.
Correct.
So it would make sense to come together. So what happened to that?
So that is a vision that is not dead. It's on hold.
Okay.
I believe that the right thing can be the wrong thing if you try to do it at the wrong time.
That's some wisdom here.
Yeah. And the reason why I say that is, and you know this, anybody who knows me, this is a mission that I have been trying to accomplish for 6 years, no exaggeration. I started off with an op-ed, a letter to the public, and then multiple conversations and meetings, and me putting together large packets together. You saw my strategic plan. The timing just wasn't right. When something isn't right, you can try to force it. It's just not time. And what I realized was, I'm young, I'm a woman, and also people often, when you try to come in, and I love this about us as Haitian people, we are I don't want to say we don't trust everyone, but we question people's motives. We want to vet
and we
them.
should.
We should,
yes.
Because of history, right? That's why we're this way. But we want to really understand something before we align ourselves with it. And I think people are just look, here's this young girl trying to she has no idea. Haitians have never been able to, you know what I mean? She's just young, and so I realized it was important for me to protect that vision.
Okay.
That's why I said the right thing can be wrong if you try to do it at
The
the wrong
wrong
time. When
time.
you have a vision that's too big and people are not ready to digest it, it will kill the vision before you start what God has called you to do. And so I thought in this season, perhaps I should just rise to the occasion, be the leader, the type of leader that I would like to see, allow the community to see my fruits, and then hopefully then there'll be some buy-in.
Wow. Wow. I'm glad to hear that it's not dead, that it's on hold.
Yeah.
Because I think it would do a lot for the community. To see we have so many talents in our community. Even in our respective churches, when we say we're going to have an event, we usually don't have any money.
Yeah.
We usually don't have anything. But people show up with their resources and their talents and put it together, and it's a beautiful affair.
Yeah.
Every single time, even to the last hour. So I think we could do great things in the city of Philadelphia and have Haitians really take their space.
We can. And we will.
And we will, because we are born leaders. I believe that God allowed Haiti to be the first republic for a reason.
Yes.
The first free Black republic for a reason. We don't understand it today. From what it looks like, you would never know that it is. But I know the freedom, the banner of freedom is in our hands. Yes. And we really, I can't say invented, but we motivated other countries to be free. We stopped slavery. We abolished slavery. So that's not for no reason. So as Haitian children, the leadership is in us.
Yes, it is.
Our job is big, but we can do it.
We
can do it.
Yeah.
And I believe it's going to come out from the diaspora, the Haitian diaspora. Woman Fest.
Yes, Women's Fest.
Oh my God, let me drink some tea to the ladies. Cheers to Woman First. Yes.
Yes, Women's Fest, my baby.
I enjoyed that. I think I attended one. I think you had one or two before.
We had two Women's Fest conferences, yes.
Oh my goodness. That was such a beautiful event.
Thank you so much.
Very informative, very motivating. I mean, how did you even come up with this idea that you can bring people together like that?
Sure. So, you know, I'm an ambitious woman, and I felt like there weren't enough conferences or programs in our community. And there are a lot of women's conferences, okay? And they're great. But a lot of the Christian women's conferences, they're like revival-like. So you come in, you get your breakthrough, you're shouting, somebody's preaching, and it's all amazing. But I really wanted an all-encompassing conference where we not only built women spiritually, but we also built them intellectually. We inspired them to be business women.
Wow.
To be leaders in corporate or not-for-profit entities, right? To really give them the resources and the tools that they need to be catapulted, right, into their next season. And, you know, there are a lot of other successful women out there. I feel like before you can tap into their resources, you got to pay like $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. There's so many mentorship programs out there, but sometimes women leave and they end up being jaded. I wanted a one-stop shop, a day,
and you did.
Jam-packed.
And you did.
Where women leave and they're like, I feel like I can conquer the world.
You did that. You truly did that.
Yeah.
And I had the pleasure of being in the VIP room.
You were. And I didn't do it by myself. I have an amazing team. The chairwoman of Women's Fest is Christella Lewis. She's incredible. So.
Oh, yes, I did meet her.
Yeah.
That is so nice. You know, there's a thirst for things like that in the Haitian community.
Absolutely.
And like I said, we are very talented people, but you would never know if we don't do these things to put it out there. You even went on, I think I saw you on a TV show.
I did.
To promote it.
To promote it.
Yes.
It's interesting you say that because, I put my anything that I'm doing for the Lord, for the community, I really, truly am passionate about it. My number one concern is the person's experience. It's never about me. Truly, it's never about me. I'll invest my money, my resources, my time.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, and as much as you're singing the praises of the conference, trying to get people to invest and see the worth to pay the money at first, it's a struggle.
Of course,
it's a struggle. But just staying true to the vision and the impact that it will have. We stay the course. We were able to raise the price a little bit the second time, and I think people will continue to come and they'll see that, this is worth
the money. Yes. I really like that you had the finance teaching, you have the and you had businesses, you bought coaches with their books. It was really, really a well put together conference.
Thank you.
And I really, truly enjoy it. And, often my friend, Dr. Joanne, she would tell me, she would tell me, everything the I has to be dotted, the T's has to be crossed. But you can put a big event together if the details is not together. If the little...
the small...
small things... They matter. So we kind of balance each other. She trusts that, I guess we can do it that.
Right.
But I knew how much it took to get this event together. So kudos to your chair. Yes, to your team. Yes. Kudos. And hopefully it will come back. I know...
it will. I'm learning to pace myself.
Of course.
Yeah. So I want to
you don't burn out. Yes.
Season of pastoring, and hopefully Women's Fest will come back. If not 2022, definitely 2023.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I thought it stopped because of COVID-19.
It did because of COVID. Mental health. It's like I can't.
It's a lot.
But now pastoring, so
yes.
another delay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I really enjoy Women's Fest. I still have my T-shirt that says "Bloom
where you were planted." Yes.
And you know what? Subconsciously, I was looking to move to Haiti around that time.
Really?
And for some reason, every time I see it, and then the opportunity didn't come through here. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be blooming here somewhere.
I'll stay here. You say that because people don't understand the Haitian pride that exists in Haitian people.
Yes.
I don't know, because the world looks at us and they're like, oh my God, that country is upside down. I'm telling you, I've never met a Haitian born in Haiti who does not wish they could go back.
That's true.
I never have.
My mother is so upset right now because she cannot go to Haiti.
My in-laws are there and they're like, oh, we're fine.
We fine.
No, we don't want to come back here.
There's a Haitian band that, and I think my keynote speech, I kind of honed on that for Dr. Joanne's conference. Gala. It says Haiti c'est la pour la. Haiti c'est la. You have got to go to Haiti to understand the spirit of the people. Mm-hmm. They don't have anything. Some of them don't have much. But you walk around and they're laughing. They have balancing their basket on that. That's the,
So moving. It's like you can't even articulate it, right? There's this famous line from the movie Black Panther, right? Where I think it was a slave. It's a famous slave quote, but essentially the slaves who just committed suicide and jumped into the water because they said they would prefer death than to be enslaved. Slaves. And that is the level of pride that exists in Haitians. What I have may not be enough, but I'd rather this than allow anyone to try to control me ever again. And that's what it is.
That's what it is.
And it just, you feel it from generation to generation. I've never lived in Haiti. I wasn't born in Haiti, but I feel it in my blood.
When I came to America, I think my first job, and this is how I ended up in management, because my first job, and I was a teenager, and I'm talking, and then this boss of mine at the time says, "You speak with such authority."
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
It's in my blood.
I'm from Haiti.
Exactly. What do you mean?
I'm from Haiti. So she put me on that, and she mentored me.
Sure.
And thinking about my English now, I had no English at the time, but she trusted that I could do a good job enough. So I switched my major from nursing to management because it was a giving.
Yeah.
So Haiti, c'est la pour la.
Yeah. That's right.
C'est la pour la. What advice would you give a young lady, say a young lady who's looking into your life? They're looking at you so graceful, so well put together, so focused, so intellectual, you well spoken, you well dressed. Look at your red bottom shoe. So when a young lady,
I appreciate the opportunity. We should drink on that.
We should drink on that. Cheers to sexiness. Pastor or not, we're still sexy.
That's right. That's right.
That young lady, you tell a story about when you were 14.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Talking about crying, I was crying in that thing.
A couple people told me they were crying.
Oh my God, it was teary. It was so touching to know that you were at the verge of ending your life.
Yeah.
And then for you to blossom to all that you are today.
God is faithful.
God is faithful.
Yes, He is.
So what advice would you give a young lady that wants to follow this path?
Yeah. I would tell them to put God first. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but God literally saved my life. I couldn't write this even if I tried. The amount of grace that has been on my life, the things that God has, He literally has just been guiding me each step of the way. And it's so interesting because, you know, elders, they say this not only about spirituality, but just about education. They're like, the sooner you can get your act together, the better off your life will be. And I was so fortunate to have that conversion where I gave my life to Christ at 14, where I nearly took my life, and I never looked back. When I tell you, my walk with God has been so incredible.
Wow.
It's just, if you could do that as soon as possible, say yes to God, and just take off, anything, you can literally handle anything that comes your way. It doesn't matter what it is. You can handle it.
That's such great advice.
Yeah.
Such great advice, because I feel like what's out there now is weed. We talked about that in my last interview with Dr. Joanne. Weed, mental illness, pressure, drugs. There's no real, although I feel like there's a awakening happening with spirituality. You can feel it in the air. But you have to be at that level to receive it, to open yourself to it. And you have the young people now that are not connecting to that.
So I'm going to say something, and it's going to offend some people.
Okay.
But it's so important.
Okay.
I was able to have my own experience with God in my room that day when I nearly took my own life because of the seeds that were planted in me by way of church. So that means those Sundays when my parents forced me to go and I didn't feel like going, they mattered. They matter. What a lot of our generation does not realize is that we are raising children who do not know the Word of God. We're like, oh, it's okay, he doesn't feel like going to church. We're letting them stay home in front of a video game. We're trying to catch church on YouTube, bedside Baptist. we're not realizing that that is so detrimental, because it's not for no reason that the Word of God says, train up a child in the way that they should go, so that when they are older, they won't depart from it. So you don't understand, even when I'm in there, I'm young. Even my son AJ, I do not let my son watch a tablet while he's in church or be on his phone, because that's how I learned Creole in church. That's how I was able to memorize scripture in church. I never went to school to learn Creole, but I can preach. Why is
In
that?
Creole,
It's
yes.
because I was in those services, hearing the hymns, hearing the Word of God. I was digesting it, subconsciously.
Huh.
And so as parents, we have a responsibility to bring our children to church.
That shouldn't offend anybody.
It shouldn't.
This is the truth. This is your truth.
And I say that it might offend some people, because I think we have so many opinions about the upcoming generation, but we weren't as strict with them as our parents were strict with us.
And that's the key right there.
Right.
Because we probably hated the fact, and with me personally, I married outside of, I wasn't even saved when I met my husband. So we married, although he grew up in the church, but don't care to go out at all. And he's American, so he always feel like I'm too strict. He's a little bit more lenient with the kids. So when you have different cultures come together, you have to find ways. Like when I take my children to school, in the morning in the car, we're going to pray. You still need to introduce them. And he respects the fact that I tell them we need to say grace before we eat. We need to church. I was Catholic at the time. They went to communion and confirmation. So with my mother, who was a Christian, summertime I would ship them to so they still get the exposure of Christ. So I would encourage people, you're right, raise them up the way they should go. And I can see it. My 20-year-old today, when he gets in my car, if he needs a ride to get to work, even if I don't say it, he would say, Mommy, let's pray. Mommy, let's pray. He learned his Psalms. So we do need to instill in them. I would love to have them come to church with me.
I know. And this is why it's so important, Irma, because we're being influenced whether we intentionally influence ourselves or not. If you don't intentionally indoctrinate your children, the world will. Period. The world will do it.
Yes.
And so
I agree.
You can try to get ahead of that, or you can allow the world to do what it does.
I agree. My oldest son, who's gone off, completely out of my house, completely out of my reach, completely out. But he comes back talking to God I'm like, to a point where he's like,
the seed is planted.
This is wrong. Why are you doing this? Do you know but I don't know what he's studying, but he's studying the Bible. We were the what is it? The Israelites.
Israelites, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, keep holding on to this Bible. It will come to you eventually. Because I believe everybody that picks up the Bible to read, it transforms you. Bottom line, it transforms you. So we're going to switch gear and talk about your authorship.
Sure.
Ooh la la.
I appreciate how this looks. You've been reading it.
I've been reading it. I opened it, and especially now that I know I was going to interview you, I needed to brush up on my redemption. I think that's where we started our connection through this book. The book talks about leadership, being a woman in leadership. One thing I didn't realize, I came to America when I was 16 years old. So I felt like you guys spoke English. The generation that was born here, I had an array of cousins that were born here. I felt like you guys spoke English. The struggle wasn't as real for you as it was for us.
Oh, no.
So when I read that you were going through the same thing, I said, oh my God, I didn't realize that. And I always, Sean, even when we used to go out dancing with my cousins, they would dance the Haitian. I'm like, look at them. They're not even Haitian, but they enjoy everything Haitian. They enjoy everything Haitian because I wanted to put them in that box with my young mind, of course.
Sure.
So please tell us about her redemption, why people should get one.
Yeah. Well, so this book is basically a summary of my life from teenage to, I guess, around the time that I got married. And I wanted to share that story because, as I share with you, and I've been very open about, I did experience a dark period in my life where I was thinking about taking my own life. And it was during a period where I was being bullied, in school severely. My mother was in a coma. She had lung failure, so she was dying. And that moment was so scary for me because my mother was my best friend. She was the only friend
I can imagine.
I had, because I didn't really I felt misunderstood for most of my life. And so that night in my room, God saved me. And he redeemed me. And there, some people think that like I had a perfect life I made a lot of mistakes in that short period of time when I was young.
I think that's one of my questions. How do you get to be so streamlined? And it seems like you're going, like Michelle Obama said, you had the checklist.
Yeah. My checklist didn't form until after I gave my life to God. I'm telling you, I had 2 paths before me. If it were not for that night when I gave my life to God, I probably would be dead. I would be dead, if not dead. I don't know, maybe I would be like
a vegetable.
I would not be here. And I don't mean to sound so deep, but my mother, I was assigned to my mother. She was assigned to me. And you're like, what does that mean? That's your mom. It doesn't make sense. When the scripture says that before we were born in our mother's womb, God knew us. God knew that my mom was the mother I needed. And there was no way he could take her from me because she has been so vital in my development.
Wow.
I promise you, God saved my mom for me. And the prayer that I said in my room that night when I was going to take my life is, God, if you save my mom, I promise you I will serve you for the rest of my life. I will never look back.
Wow.
God saved my mom, and my mom, after God, is the reason why I am here today. She put me in programs to build my esteem. She enrolled me, and she didn't have the money. You might get your card.
Oh, God. Our Haitian mothers.
She didn't have the money. She paid thousands of dollars to put me in an acting and modeling program, and it changed my life.
Oh.
I was no longer looking, because it's modeling. They're teaching you to love yourself, to see yourself, and that coupled with church, because I promised God I'm taking church seriously.
And you made that promise at 14.
I made that promise at 14, but I'd never look back. When I tell you, the bullying continued, but it didn't
phase you anymore.
Phase me. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? and it's just,
oh my goodness.
Such a pleasure.
What a beautiful story.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess up my makeup. What a beautiful story. Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this book just kind of, goes through my journey. When I said yes, if you give your life to God at 14, you just keep growing and growing and growing. And so like people look at me and they're just like, you're so young. I'm like, I started early. I started very early. So that's why at like 31, I'm a lead pastor, because at 14, I was like teaching Sunday school. I was like leading a youth group. I was, my ministry started at such a young age.
Wow. So, Pastor Jen, we do have, because we have Haitian parents, I think we have so much in common. Because when you talk about your mother, behind every Unsung Sheroes, there seemed to be another Unsung Shero.
That's right. Yeah.
That's guiding you through, that's protecting you, that would give their lives for you.
Yeah.
I have a Haitian mother, and I know what it takes, and I'm grateful that she's still here with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh my God. With all her way and how they're there for your children, and It's awesome to have. It's a beautiful experience, because they do sacrifice a lot. I remember when my mother came here, she was a room attendant at a hotel. And my first professional job was at a hotel. I was a manager of housekeeping. So you have all these Haitian mothers, all the Haitian women that are working there, and I see my mother in them. One day I got up and I'm rushing to work. She said, "Stop." She said, "I clean toilets so you wouldn't have to clean toilet. Today you're gonna be respectful to these women that are cleaning toilets." And it took me like, yes. And to see the full circle, she lives her life through me. And I remember my daughter, one year I said, "You have to get a job." She said, "Mommy, can you give me a job at your job?" I said, "Doing what?" She said, I can be a housekeeper." I said, "Sir Solange said she cleaned toilets so that we don't have to clean toilet."
Right.
Not to say anything bad about it, but she paid the price.
See the growth. Yeah.
She paid the price. We don't have to do it anymore. I praise God for that.
Yeah.
I praise God for that. So, would you say that all the bullying you went through, how you had to navigate between the Haitian culture and the American culture, would you say that it hinders your confidence at one point, or does it drive you to be stronger? I think you touched on them a little bit before, but in a more concise way.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the question is, do I feel that my dual identity has helped me?
Confident? Does it help your confidence, or
does it
hinders?
Yeah. I would say both. It does
Okay.
both. Certainly when I was younger, I felt like a misfit. It's so interesting because I know you're a Haitian immigrant, so you felt like, you were trying to fit in.
Yes.
But what people don't understand is when you are the daughter of immigrants, you feel like you're torn between two different type of cultures, and that you don't belong to either or. Because the Haitian people are saying you're not Haitian enough, and the Americans are saying you're not American enough.
Yes.
And so it's like, well, who am I?
Who am I? Where do I belong?
Where do I fit in? And I felt like that my entire life, from like not being able to sleep over people's houses, or
sleep
not
over
knowing the different songs or certain movies that I'm supposed to know that I don't know. They're like, "I'm taking your black card away," and then the Haitians are taking my Haitian card away, and so that never goes away. I think Haitian Americans are starting to create their own identity.
I see that.
Yes.
Yes.
And so I think it's just taking control of the narrative and defining for myself who I am. And not allowing people to do that for me. And I say in the book, if you don't decide who you are, other people will decide for you.
And my biggest fear is for other people to put me in a box, because I don't do well in a box.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, I don't do well in a box.
So I would say both. It's done both, for sure.
I can see that. When I first came here, it was a war between the Haitians and the Americans. Oh my God. But we survive it. We make it through. How hard is it having to be so straight line, so perfect? Because everybody's looking at you. You want that big spotlight is on you, and everybody's looking at you.
Yeah, drop your expectations. Anybody who knows, I don't let people put that on me.
Good for you.
No, ma'am. I have a mentee who I mentored. And
is that the young lady
the young lady who was the MC?
She did
full circle moment.
Such a beautiful job.
She walked into my office 4 years ago, and she reminded me of myself. But I remember she was looking for a mentor, and she was looking for this perfect individual. I said, whatever expectations you have of me, drop them to the ground. I'm human. There are going to be times where you text me, I won't respond, not because I don't love you, because I'm busy. You're going to come to me with issues. I'm not going to have the answer, but I'll pray about it. And that's the same way I speak to my church members.
Mm.
I am a human being just like you. So I'm going to say things, I'm going to enjoy my life. But I am willing to do this role and lead as God leads me to help all of us live better lives. I think when we allow people to put these unrealistic expectations on us, that's when we fail.
We drain.
That's when
It
we fail,
drains.
we drain
It's
our,
draining.
yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm an individual just like you. I'm not perfect. Do not put me on a pedestal.
Yes.
I don't
But
wanna
the
be on
spotlight
that.
is on
The
you.
spotlight is on me, and I'm okay with that.
Uh-huh.
But I don't want anyone to tell me what I'm supposed
What it
to
should
do.
be.
I want God to tell me what I'm supposed to do.
You're gonna be just fine. You are going to be just fine. Knowing all that you know through your journey, I looked at your picture, your 14-year-old picture. You're 16. You were 16 on that picture.
Yeah.
So innocent, so beautiful, so with the life. What would you tell that young lady, knowing that you all that you know today?
Wow. Oh my God. There's so many things I would tell her. It's interesting because I like the person I am today. And I feel like everything had to happen exactly the way it did for me to get here.
To be who you
To
are
be who
today.
I am today. So I don't know that I would say anything that would change the outcomes. I think I would give her a little bit of comfort during those waiting seasons and say, it's going to be okay, I promise.
Some comfort. Oh, I need some comfort. Oh my God.
It's going to be okay.
It's gonna be okay. You got me crying. Oh, I need to comfort that little girl in you. Let's hug it out. Let's hug it out.
You're making me stand. You know I can't stand in red bottoms. Yes.
It's gonna be okay.
Yes, it's gonna be okay.
This is it. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Hi everybody, Coach Irma here. Welcome to my channel. Please like, subscribe, and hit the little bell below so that you can be notified when I have new content. I'll see you soon. Thank you.